Hi, this is Paul from Career Services at Western Technical College, and I want to talk to you about writing an effective resume. Your resume can be crucial to your job search. It can help set you apart from other candidates and help you get that interview that you want. So today we're going to talk about some of the basics about resumes. What is a resume? What is the purpose of it? How do you figure out what kind of information you want to put on your resume, and how do you structure that and figure out where it goes on your resume? We'll talk about how to make your bullet points really strong in your resume so that it'll stand out and make it very specific to you. We'll talk about transferable skills and another really important aspect of your resume, matching it to the job description that you're applying for, along with some other tips. So your resume is a document that is designed to help you get an interview. When I was first creating resumes myself, I thought that a resume had to be just almost a legal document of all my employment information that I could possibly think of. And so I had all sorts of details on there. What you really want your resume to be is just the highlights. It's like a marketing document that is designed to help you get the interview that you want. And so you just want to have all the best information that you can on your resume. Make sure that the most important information is standing out. And so when you're preparing to create your resume, there are a few things that you can do before you get started with the writing that will make it a lot easier on you. First of all, you want to gather all of the information that you have about previous jobs, your education, volunteer experiences, any accomplishments that you have from jobs, volunteering, leadership, trainings, school, that sort of thing. Just gather all that information into one place so that you have it when you need it. Then when you sit down to write your resume, you're most likely going to open up a fresh document on Word or Google Docs or something like that. We encourage you to not use a template. I know it's tempting to do that when you're fresh at creating resumes, but templates can make it really hard to make updates and changes later on, to move things around in your resume. And also there are some companies, especially larger organizations, that use software that scans through resumes before a human being even sees it. It's looking for certain keywords and then sorting resumes kind of into yes, no, or maybe piles. And there's research out there that suggests that when you use a template, especially if it has columns, pictures, colors, a lot of formatting, that can throw off that scanning software and make it less likely that a human being will actually see your resume. So just to make it easier, we really encourage everyone to start off by creating a resume from scratch. We have examples in our handbook on our career services page that you can follow in order to help set that up. And we'll walk through a little bit of that in just a moment. So you've opened up your document. You have all the information with you to create your resume. What you want to do is to think about, what is the most important information that I could share with them that will help me get this interview, that'll show them that I'm the candidate that they want for the job. So pick out from all the information that you have the things that are relevant, and then figure out what is the strongest, most impressive, most relevant information that I have, and make sure that that is towards the top of your resume. Make sure it's at least in the top half. So you want to start with your strongest qualification. Maybe that's your education, the program that you're in. Maybe it's a previous job that you've had. But whatever it is for you, you want to put that towards the top, and then pick out the sections that show off your skills the most and work your way down. You also want to make sure that you're using bolds or italics, underlining, those kinds of things to make the most important information really jump off the page. When it comes to like how much info you need on your resume, you don't need to list every job or every job duty that you've ever had. You just want to list the highlights and make sure that every piece of information is relevant to the job that you're applying for. If it's not a piece of information that's going to help you get one step closer to that interview and that job, then just leave it off, because then it's just distracting from all the best stuff that you have on there. Remember, it's just the highlights that are going to help you get that interview. When you go into an interview, and even in your cover letter, those are places that you can share more information and more details about yourself. We do recommend that you keep your resume just to 1 page unless you have a whole lot of experience already in the field that you are applying to get into. In that case, it's okay to spill over onto a 2nd page, but you want to make sure that that 2nd page looks full. If you just have a little bit of information on the next page, it just kind of looks sad. But the key is to remember just the highlights, just the relevant information that's going to help you out. Okay, so on your resume, you're going to have certain sections, and some of the more common ones are your education section, your work experience, your qualifications or skills. And so it's up to you to figure out which one is most relevant and is going to impress the hiring team the most. Put that section towards the top or at the top, and then work your way down. For your education section, you want to make sure that you list your program and degree first and put that in bold so that it stands out. We often see resumes that list the school first, but you want to think about what is the piece of information that they would want to know first. And for education, it's typically, what did you go to school for? And then after that, they would want to know, where did you go to school? And then when? And so you want to list your information in the order of how important it would be to the hiring team. So program and degree first, put that in bold, then your other information after that. If you're still in school, you want to write expected graduation and then the date. If you've already graduated, just a month and the year is perfect. For a lot of students who are newer to their field and don't have as much experience, it can be good to add some related coursework in your education section. I'll show you an example of this in a moment, but it's just an opportunity for you to not only show that you've gone to school for a particular program, but you can pull out some of the courses, the skills that you've gained, some of the knowledge that you've mastered, projects, accomplishments, things that are going to add to their understanding of the skills that you've gained in your schooling. There is no need to include your high school information once you have schooling beyond that, so you can typically leave that off. And again, if you are newer or brand new to your field, oftentimes education is going to be at the top because that will be your best qualification for the position you're applying for. So if you have a qualifications section, and this is very common, we typically recommend this for everyone. A summary of qualifications, or sometimes it's called a skills summary section, whatever you would like to call it. This is a place to show off all of your best skills and experiences and qualities that relate to that position. So this can often be a tricky section to write. It's sometimes hard to know what skills do I want to choose? Where do I even start here? But consider looking at some job descriptions for positions that you're interested in and notice what kinds of things are they looking for? What skills and experiences do they want in an employee? And then figure out, where does my experience match up with those? And those are the best things that you can add in a qualifications section. We typically encourage people to list 5 to 6 qualifications, and you want to use bullet points so that it's easier to scan through that information. And then as you're writing them down, you definitely want to be specific. This is a great way to make your resume stand out among some of the others. We oftentimes get resumes that will say customer service as one of their skills, which is great. It's a great skill to have. It's very in demand, but anyone can just write customer service on a resume, and then they have to either just believe you or not believe you. But if you can show how you've used your skills, if you can tell them what customer service looked like in your job, and even if you can add some of the results to that, that really, it provides evidence that those are true of you, and it really makes it personalized to you, and it stands out among the other resumes. When you get to your work experience section, you want to start with your current or most recent job and then work your way backwards. Again, like with the education section, think about which piece of information do they want to know first. And typically that would be, what was the job? What was your job title? And then they want to know, who were you working for and where was it and when? And so you want to list things in that order. Typically, we encourage people to put their job title in bold so that it stands out. Then when you are adding job duties and experiences and accomplishments below each job entry, you just want to stick with job duties and accomplishments that relate to the position that you're applying for. If you're looking for a graphic design position, you don't need to get into detail about the things that you did working at a fast food restaurant. It's still great to list that experience, but anything that doesn't apply to the job that you're applying for, you can just leave that off. Some people like to break their work experience into two different sections. One would be related work experience. Maybe you have a job or an internship or a clinical experience that is related to the position you're applying for. And so you can list that and then have bullet points underneath it, listing some of your duties and accomplishments that are relevant. And then you might have some other jobs that you did, summer jobs or other types of things that just aren't as relevant to the field that you're applying to work in. And so then a person might just list that under work history and list the basic job information, but they don't develop that with bullet points underneath because it wouldn't do anything to help them get that job. I'll show you an example in a minute of what that can look like. And then there is no requirement that you have any other sections, but if you do have different certifications, awards, volunteer experiences, clinicals, software skills, those kinds of things that you want to show off in your resume, you can add those sections as well. But make sure that you're only adding things that are relevant to the position you're applying for. Just wanted to mention that objective is used to be a very common section on resumes, and this would commonly be at the top, and it would say like, my objective is to obtain a position in this field, working for this kind of company. But objective statements are kind of obsolete these days. We don't see them very often. And it's because it's hard to convey any important information or to set yourself apart with an objective statement. If you do want to have something like that, consider maybe a section called personal profile or professional profile. And in that section, you can list, it's kind of a branding statement of who you are and then some of your top qualifications for that position. So maybe your profile says, experienced administrative assistant who excels in X, Y, and Z. It's kind of just a brief branding statement to show them who you are and a little bit of what you would bring to the table. Okay, so let's talk about bullet points. You may have bullet points on your resume underneath your employment entries or in your qualifications section. And strong bullet points can make a huge difference in how effective your resume is and in your ability to get that interview. So first of all, you want to make sure that in your bullet points, you're not using any I statements. Don't say I or me, just leave that off. Instead of I have 4 years of customer service experience, just say 4 years customer service experience. Just kind of a standard way of doing resumes. So you want to match your bullet points to the job, as we said earlier. Maybe take a look at that job description, see what they're looking for, and then think again about where does my experience match up with what they're wanting in an employee, and then make sure your bullet points are addressing those things. Another important thing to remember is don't just list your skills or say that you have those skills, show how you've used them. So again, like we touched on briefly before, maybe instead of saying customer service skills, you could say demonstrated excellent customer service skills by actively listening to customer complaints and finding creative solutions to their problems. You can see it's showing here already a bit of this is how I've used customer service skills in my position. It's showing that you do have that experience and giving them a chance to picture how you've done it and to picture you doing it for them and their company. Even better than that is if you can show off some of the results of what you did. So maybe instead it's offered creative solutions to customer complaints, resulting in a 15% increase in customer satisfaction. Anytime you can use Details, examples, numbers, statistics, it goes a long way towards strengthening your bullet points and showing that you definitely have those skills. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about transferable skills. Let's say that you are looking for a job as a business manager. Your employment so far, you're newer to the field, you're just graduating, and your employment so far has been working in childcare. Most of your experiences are not going to be very relevant to the new field that you're getting into. However, you in any job that you have, you are using some skills that will be involved in any other job. We call these transferable skills, skills that transfer over from one job to another, regardless of what those jobs are. So as you can see on this list here, some of those might include things like teamwork, communication, time management, creativity, organization, decision making. So in that example of childcare positions, you definitely use some of these: problem solving and creativity and organization and teamwork. And so those are things that are going to be used also in your new role as a business manager. And these are sometimes called soft skills. They're sometimes viewed as lesser skills by us who are looking for jobs. But if you talk with employers, if you talk with hiring teams, these are skills that they are absolutely looking for, and they're very important to them. It's easier to teach specific skills for an industry than it is to teach someone time management or to teach them emotional intelligence or stress management. And so employers are looking for people that are coming in with these kinds of transferable skills already. So a couple of things you can do to help figure out which of these skills you have: think through your job duties from current or previous jobs. And maybe you've used things like teamwork, creativity, leadership. Take a look again at that job description, see what they're looking for, or ask family, friends, coworkers, what kinds of skills do you think I would be bringing to the table here? And then again, as you're adding these to your resume in your qualifications section, or maybe under some of your employments, make sure again that you're not just saying, I have leadership skills, but talk about how you've used those leadership skills, how you've demonstrated them in the past, so that you're creating really good bullet point statements. We've talked a little bit about matching the resume to the job. This can take some more time and effort, and I know if you're applying for 6 or 7 jobs, it's going to take a bit of time. It can be kind of a pain, but if you put in that time to customize your resume to each job, it's going to make a huge difference. And if you get one of those jobs that you applied for, it will definitely be worth it. So this is just an example showing how you can look through the job description, notice things that are standing out, words that are repeated. What is it that they seem to be looking for the most? And then think through your experiences and how they match up. And you can create your bullet point statements for qualifications and your job experience based on those. So here is a resume example that we have in our job search handbook on the Career Services webpage. And this is an actual Western student. We just changed the name and a little bit of the information there. But this was a student that was going to be graduating from the Administrative Professional program. You can see down in their work history that most of their work experience had been in restaurants. And so while there were some transferable skills there, some of their other skills were not going to be as relevant. So they thought through, what are my best qualifications and what are the most important things that I want to communicate to the hiring team? So just going from the top here, you can see that they've got their name nice and big and bold at the top. And then they've got their contact information. You don't have to list your street address anymore. Many people just list their city and state, their email, their phone number, and that's definitely enough. This person chose to list their education first because they felt like their administrative professional degree was their best qualification for that kind of position. And so they've got their program and type of degree listed first and in bold, then their school information, and they've kept their dates over on the right side, which is just a nice way of organizing it so that things don't get too clumped together and hard to read, and those dates are easy to find on the right side there. This is one of those students that chose to add a related coursework section, and they pulled out just a few short bullet points to highlight some of the skills and experiences that they got while they were here at Western that they wanted to show off. Next, they chose to add a qualifications section, and typically you don't have to split that qualifications section into these different subheadings and categories, but I really personally like what this person did here. They looked through some job descriptions for positions they were interested in and noticed that 3 things that really stand out that they seem to be looking for are software knowledge, bookkeeping, and customer service skills. And so this student decided, well, I'm just going to list those and then show them in a really clear and obvious way how I have the things that they're looking for. And so I like the way that they organize that. You can see that their bullet points are detailed, that they're not just saying that they have a certain skill or experience, but they're showing how they've used that. Like under bookkeeping, instead of saying that they're organized, they talk about maintaining detailed records for all store accounts, implementing a numerical and alphabetical filing system, those kinds of things. And that level of detail really goes to show that they have those skills. This is also a person who chose to break up their work history into related work experience and work history in general. Under related work experience, they had an internship from their time at Western that they wanted to expand on with bullet points. And so you can see each of those bullet points starts off with a strong action verb and then add some detail about how they used a particular skill. And they made sure that all of these skills were things that were going to be relevant to an administrative professional position. Again, they listed their job title first, and then the employer, city, state, and then dates over on the right. Then they added their more general work history section, and you can see this is where they listed the jobs that weren't as relevant to the position that they were applying for, but it's still really important to show that you've got that solid work history. And so they listed the job title, company, city, state, and dates that they worked there as well. Again, there's no need to have any sections beyond those, but if you do have some relevant awards, certifications, clinicals, volunteer experience, whatever it is for you, feel free to add that to your resume as well. So that in a nutshell is how we recommend that you go about creating your resume. If you have any questions at all, feel free to stop by our Career Services office on the 2nd floor of the Student Success Center. We're down past the Learning Commons at the end of the hallway in the space. You can check us out and our resources on our webpage. You can also email us, call us, whatever's easiest for you. We have a whole bunch of resources online, including our job search handbook, which has even more suggestions and tips and examples for resumes, as well as cover letters, references, interviewing, job searches, and all that. So let us know if there's anything else that we can do to help you out. Thanks.